let's get into some big news. And first off, I don't know if you heard about this. Tom Brady's back.
Yeah, I heard.
He's coming back from the to the Buccaneers. He was out. A lot of rumors as to where he may be. The social team at Fantasy Life suggested that he might be doing The Masked Singer. Can either confirm or deny. But my question to you about Brady is: there's been some injuries on the offensive line, right? So he's really only got Wirfs and Donovan Smith back from last year's starting offensive line. Yep. He loses Aaron Stinney. Ryan Jensen also banged up as well. Brady's bad under pressure.
Yep, he is.
How concerned are you about this offensive line?
Not too much yet, because I think it has been a little bit of an overreaction. It's not like he's Justin Fields behind the Bears' offensive line, which is like Riley Reif, you, and then two random other guys. Like, he's still got Worth, Smith. That's a really good tackle duo. He brings in Shaq Mason.
Yep.
And the thing with offensive line is that if you have one injury, it's okay. Generally, you can cover. It's when you have a cluster of 3 or 4, like what happened to Mahomes in the Super Bowl against Tampa Bay, where all of a sudden it's just completely unviable. So I think that with those 3 guys entrenched, who we know or we think will be pretty good, and then Robert Hainsey, I mean, they drafted him in the 3rd round. Like, he's had a year. He should be fine. The other guard position's a bit of a worry, but I think that Brady will be okay. It's just if there's another injury, that's when I'd start to worry.
Yeah, I mean, look, when he's under pressure, that's the way to get him. Like last year, when he was under pressure, he completed 44% of his passes, 25th in the NFL. He's bad under pressure. Now, again, last year, he had the lowest sack rate among qualified quarterbacks. They kept him pretty clean. Yep. So I have him at QB5. I'm not moving him off that. It does make me think maybe there's 2 things that make me think. First off, it furthers my theory that Gronk is coming back sooner than later, because Gronk's a great blocking for all the Gronkness of it all, and he just did the Gronkcast. The fact is that Rob Gronkowski is actually a fantastic blocking tight end as well. So I feel like maybe Tom increases come on, Rob, get off the beach, put down the beer, let's go, get back here. We got to do this one more year. The other thing that I think is that's interesting here is the concerns are, does this offensive line, are the injuries to the offensive line concerning to you about Leonard Fournette? And for me, I think, because when you think about who else they have on that depth chart, they have Rachaad White, the rookie, they have Keyshawn Vaughn. Like, Fournette's not coming off the field because, again, he's going to want a veteran running back that's good in pass pro. So you've got 2 young rookies. I mean, Keyshawn Vaughn couldn't find the field last year. Like, they wouldn't let him on the field. So I think even if Fournette is slightly less efficient because it's not as great a offensive line, the volume is going to be insane here.
Yep. Yeah, I think there's just something about Leonard Fournette where it just feels like he's destined to disappoint. Like, I always think of the guy who averaged, he was 3.3 yards per carry in Jacksonville one year. He was obviously taken as an extremely high draft pick. And so
they didn't give him a 5th-year option.
No,
I mean,
exactly.
Jacksonville,
he was done.
The Jacksonville Jaguars, who are bad, were like, we're good to let you go.
You're out, Leonard.
We're out, Leonard. And it's only he resurrected his career in Tampa Bay. But you were saying, I interrupted you.
Well, I think that, he's someone who really depends on a perfect context. I think Brady can, it's not great if he's getting pressured, but he can still subsist with what's still there on the offensive line. I would be more worried about what's going on at receiver, because Chris Godwin, we need to see what he looks like coming off the injury. We need to see what Julio Jones looks like. The training camp viral video is not great at this point, but then Mike Evans like Jimmy Butler in the NBA. He's always carrying something. Like, there's something always wrong with his hamstring, like Butler's knee. So he needs to be healthy. And if they are all fit, then it's an amazing offense, as it was last year. But something will get a little bit creaky.
Yeah, a little bit. I feel like, Fournette is such a weapon in the passing game. 69 receptions. He was the 3rd best running back in terms of total receptions last year. And again, Brady likes to dump up the running back, and especially if he's getting more pressure, I think he'll dump it off. Look, I have Brady at QB5, but I think if you take him anywhere in that top 8, it's fine. He's not going to run. The passing volume will be insane. Again, I don't think Tom Brady came out of retirement to hand the ball off. Yeah. I think the volume should be there, again, even if he's not as efficient as he has been in previous years. He was the 3rd best quarterback in fantasy, so we're dinging him a little bit. Patrick Mahomes, newsflash, still looks like Patrick Mahomes. He's good, right?
Yeah.
It's really good. So I think there were some questions about Patrick Mahomes and will he still be the same guy without Tyreek Hill? I feel like, yeah, he's still going to be Patrick Mahomes. Like, ask and answer. Like, I'm surprised this was a question as much as it has been this offseason.
Yeah, I think the weird thing with Mahomes, which maybe has gotten a little bit forgotten about, but he was pretty bad for 2 months in the middle of last season, and then he turned it around, and he was really good in the playoffs until he really wasn't with that disastrous second half against Cincinnati. But I don't know. I think that obviously they're worse without Tyreek, but at the same time, I feel like Mahomes also got a little bit attached to Tyreek, where you can tell that Mahomes, he wants to throw deep. He wants to throw deep every single occasion. He wants to run around in the pocket and do his Patrick Mahomes thing. And then I think that when they took Tyreek away, they really struggled in that 2-month stretch. But look, Mahomes is as talented as any quarterback. And the good thing about his weapons is that he's just got lots of them. So if Mecole Hardman doesn't work out, all right, let's try Sky Moore. If Sky Moore doesn't work out, there's other players. There's Juju Smith-Schuster. There are going to be guys to cycle through, and they're just going to hit on some of them.
So that's the thing. I think in some ways, I know it seems insane to say, like, hey, we're taking away Tyreek Hill and this is a good thing. It's not. Obviously, he's one of the best players in the NFL. So, look, that's a downgrade. Having said that, sometimes to your point, a quarterback feels like, I've got to feed this guy. I've got to look for this guy. And so having more of a committee approach, if you will, sometimes frees up a quarterback to look around. So you see the guys there. You didn't mention Marquez Valdez-Scantling. He's there as well. So again, you talk about the deep threat. You've got Juju, Mecole Hardman, and MVS can all absolutely fly, right? I mean, so in Sky Moore, we didn't even mention Justin Watson, right? And Justin Watson has been playing ahead of Sky Moore so far in the preseason. We'll talk about him a little bit, but I feel like Sky Moore, who's been like kind of a sexy sleeper, he's a guy that, to me, should be dropping. Like, we're going to do a risers and fallers segment coming up here in the show, and to me, he's a faller. Like, the question posed to us. So my producers give me questions, just so you guys know, like, because they're like, you're going to be drunk halfway through the show, Barry. So like, here's something to pay attention to. So the question our producers are asking us here, Jay, which Chiefs pass catcher is the best target at ADP? I like Juju Smith-Schuster. Make no mistake. I mean, Kelsey's currently going as tight end 1. He's 13th on Yahoo. I prefer more in the middle of the second round than at the end of the first round. I do think he's going to catch 100 balls this year. Like, I think Mahomes is always going to look for Kelsey. I'm not worried about the fact that he's 33. I think he's a genetic freak of nature. The rules don't apply with him. But you look at Juju Smith-Schuster, who's going 70th overall on Yahoo. Again, people forget how good Juju Smith-Schuster was those first couple years in Pittsburgh. They only remember the slot receiver from the last 2 years with Big Ben, noodle arm Big Ben, and like they turned him into Ryan Switzer. They turned him into they tried to turn him into like Julian Edelman, like a bad version of Julian Edelman. Like, everything's going to be close to the line of scrimmage. We're not going to give you any separation because, again, Ben just couldn't throw. But now he's got Mahomes. So Juju Smith-Schuster, who's still only like 25. Yeah. People forget that too, right? I mean, so I don't know. For me, I'm all in on Juju in an Andy Reid offense with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, a young player who's going to play the slot but can line up outside, can do every route that you need. And to your point, if they do the too high safety thing again, and they're like, we're only going to give you the underneath stuff, Juju's going to eat. And if they start playing a man, Juju's fast enough to beat that.
Yep. Yeah, I hate agreeing with you, but I think Juju is the guy. I think that, you look back at what he did his first 2 seasons, and then there are reasons why he wasn't good. He was injured, he's been constantly injured, and then Big Ben hasn't thrown anyone open for 5 years. And now we got Patrick Mahomes. So he's in that Allen Robinson zone of the guy who gets the quarterback now who can unlock so much of what he can do. So, yeah, I think Juju's the guy.
Let's move on to the Buffalo Bills here. And I thought, listen, small sample size, of course, but big shock. Bills offense looks as good as advertised. One of the kind of big stories here in the preseason, Jay, since we've been gone, has been the rise of Isaiah McKenzie. I think a lot of people saw Emmanuel Sanders and Cole Beasley leave this team. They're like, okay, we all expect Gabe Davis to take a massive step forward. I love Gabriel Davis. I am at wide receiver 26. I am at 57 overall.
Yep.
Yahoo's going 69. So I'm all in on Gabriel Davis. And Isaiah McKenzie has sort of risen up as well. I think people thought, Jameis Crowder's going to be the Cole Beasley role. But no. When Josh Allen has been out there with the first-team offense, it has been Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and in the slot, Isaiah McKenzie. So I want to talk real quickly about both these guys. First off, in terms of Gabriel Davis, I've made this point before. You and I've done a rehearsal show or two. Gabriel Davis, and I put this in my 100 Facts, which is available now on NBCSportsEdge.com. I'm a company man. 184 targets. Manuel Sanders and Cole Beasley leave 184 targets up for grabs. Last year, Gabriel Davis 98th in targets among wide receivers. 98th.
Yeah,
Like he had 11 different games where he ran less than 20 routes. Like he just wasn't on the field, and yet he was still, despite the fact that he was barely out there, top 5 in the NFL among wide receivers in end zone targets. When he was out there, Josh Allen was looking for him when he was in the end zone. He's had 5 games last year where he got 5 or more targets. He scored in 4 of them.
Yep.
And then, of course, we all saw the 4-touchdown game in the playoffs. So I want your thoughts on Gabe Davis, and also, are you interested in Isaiah McKenzie as a late-round flyer?
As a late-round flyer, maybe to buy into some potential injury risk for Diggs and Davis. But no, I think that Davis, it's funny because it's become cool to swerve Gabriel Davis. Like, it's cool to kind of ride off the 201 yards and the 4 touchdowns. But
Did you call me cool? Are you calling me cool?
No. I'm saying that.
I was going to say, because that would have been the first time in history.
I think that with Davis, like people, they write off that game because they look at his season-long stats. But I mean, he didn't start. He wasn't starting. Sanders was starting, and
Right.
Davis he's got so much scope. You know, all the advanced numbers love Davis, and I think that I don't think it's out of the world of possibility that he could outperform Stephon Diggs this year if everything goes right.
I love that. By the way, 20 plus 2,500 to lead the NFL in receiving touchdowns.
Yeah.
I like that bet.
I don't mind it. And look, the Bills, they're the Super Bowl favorite. Josh Allen's the MVP favorite. A lot of Bills love in the betting world.
Yeah,
And a lot of touchdowns.
As well they should. I'm just saying he's a big red zone target.
Yep.
Obviously they've got Dawson Knox there as well, but I think that's really interesting, and I do really like Isaiah McKenzie. Again, like he's playing all the snaps with Josh Allen. Super fast. He had that one huge game when he filled in for Cole Beasley. 184 targets up for grabs. Again, they're not all going to Gabriel Davis. Let's talk about the Bills' backfield here. I thought we actually got clarity here, and to me, it's Devin Singletary. Right? People are going to see, Zach Moss got the goal line carries and got the touchdowns, whatever, but he's playing with like the second team. When Josh Allen was on the field, Devin Singletary played every snap.
Yep.
To me, Devin Singletary is the guy. Like if you are looking for a running back here, like to me, if you're targeting the backfield of the Buffalo Bills, I don't know. I want Devin Singletary. I want no part of Zach Moss. He was, by the way, a healthy scratch. And I don't mind James Cook, by the way, is like in that J.D. McKissick, James White, third down, PPR kind of flex play.
Yep.
But that's about it. This is Devin Singletary's job.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, look, none of these guys are particularly inspiring just because of how pass heavy that Bills offense is. Like if you're looking at the Bills offense, it's Josh Allen and the receivers. But yeah, there's a lot of love for James Cook. His offensive rookie of the year odds have been shortening, but I think there's a number of rookie running backs in front of him in terms of the volume that they're going to get. And then, yeah, Singletary's the guy who's going to get the most carries, but you know, what's his ceiling? Can he get to like 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns at best?
Totally agree. And then, so we're on the same page there with the Bills. And by the way, I mean, again, Singletary isn't costing that much. Like,
No.
I'm not the biggest Devin Singletary fan, but I think because there's perceived unclarity in that backfield, he's actually a discount. And I'm telling you, it's the Devin Singletary show. We saw it towards the end of last year, and preseason seems to be specifically that as well. Breaking news into we need to name this bar. Like right now, it's into the happy hour, but you can't really call it the happy hour. We need to name this bar. We're looking for names for the bar. So,
Sponsored
tweet.
names.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, also available your logo here, just so you know. Anyway, you see it here on your screen, but if you're listening audio-wise, breaking news into this unnamed bar just before we started. Baker Mayfield has been named the starter of the Carolina Panthers. Jay, this was expected.
Yeah, not a big shock that Sam Darnold doesn't win the job.
Right.
I think, look, in terms of like setting lines in the preseason, like we don't really wait too much of the preseason. The only thing that was really going to shift lines was if the Panthers were dumb enough to make Sam Darnold their starting quarterback, in which case it would have shifted entirely against them. But Baker Mayfield, I think, was always going to be the guy. He's a lot better than Sam Darnold. I like Baker Mayfield to win Comeback Player of the Year this year.
Oh, what are the odds on that? Do you know that?
Yeah, he's 10-1.
10-1 on Comeback Player of the Year.
And the Panthers are like 4-1 to make the playoffs. I think if Baker Mayfield leads them to the playoffs, then he just wins Comeback Player of the Year. What's a better story than that as a comeback?
It's pretty. Yeah,
I think he's the guy.
I like that at 10-1. By the way, and obviously plays the Browns in Week 1. He's going to face Jacoby Brissett. I think he'll be motivated here. For me, what I think, the Baker Mayfield news, we've kind of expected. Baker Mayfield's not a fantasy option, but what he does do is he elevates that offense. DJ Moore has had over 1,200 scrimmage yards each of the last 3 seasons. He's the only wide receiver in the NFL that can say that, but he's only had 4 touchdowns. Baker Mayfield's a good quarterback.
Yep.
I'm not saying he's a great quarterback, and the questions are, can he be a franchise guy? We'll see. But he's a competent professional quarterback who has supported fantasy-relevant wide receivers. So I have DJ Moore as a top 13 play this year. He moved way up for me. He's much more of a lower-end wide receiver 1 than the low-end wide receiver 2 that he was being drafted at prior to Baker coming to Carolina. I have Chris McCaffrey as a top 2 back as well. And we'll see if he can unlock Robbie Anderson or Terrence Marshall, any of the other complimentary pass catchers there in Carolina.
Yeah, well, Robbie Anderson's the interesting one to me because if there's any quarterback that can unlock him, Baker Mayfield loves throwing it deep, almost to his detriment at times, and that's Robbie Anderson's game.
There you go. So we will see if he can suddenly bring back Robbie Anderson from the fantasy dead.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.